Welcome to Evolution on the Mic. I am your host, Ariana de la Cruz.
And I'm your co-host, Antoine Dove.
And we are here, season 2. We're still on season 2, y'all. The power of words. And today we're on episode 4. Words can build or destroy,
Oof.
right? And we're going to talk about how death and life are in the power of the tongue. God knows I know all about that. So we have a great episode lined up for you today. I'm super excited, to share what is in our hearts to share with you guys. But before we get into, this awesome episode, I want to check in with you, Antoine. Like, how have you been since last week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing well. There's been some changes
Yeah.
in my life. One of the biggest ones is the business that I had been speaking about ended up not going through, which was it was unfortunate, but I have to say I believe that things happen for a reason, and I do believe that that was something that God it was a decision that God had made for me in this endeavor. And so, as much as I wanted to go through, it's opening some doorways for some new things and for me to explore some new opportunities, which is great. And I think this is a life lesson. It's something I learned and something I will talk about in years to come as I continue to build my business empire and things that I will be doing in my life. But other than that, I've just been doubling down on real estate. It's become a big
Nice.
part of my life now. So spending a lot of time at open houses and meeting with people and spending time with new builders, which has been great. And then the other big thing that has came up is I've really started to get back closer in my walk with God in terms of reading his word.
Mm.
And that was something that I know we've talked about it some, Ariana, but that was something that for me, I haven't done in a while, quite honestly. And as this podcast continues to grow and we continue to move forward in this podcast, I understand how important understanding God's word is to the things that we talk about in this podcast, because all of it's related. Everything we're experiencing, our evolution, is all related to the things that God has already told us about in his teachings. And after listening to your last episode about books, what's one of the greatest books that we can read in terms of leaders and the leaders that are ahead of us? God's, the leader. He is the best leader of all. And so he's put all that in this Bible for us, and through inspiring other people to write it so that we can learn about the things we can be doing. So I've been spending some time there, but that's where I'm at right now. How about yourself? What's been up? What's going on?
Oh man, I've been feeling really good. I've been feeling really blessed. Like, and I say that with 100% sincerity. Like, I feel like I'm flying a lot of the times, and that might sound crazy to some people. But those that have the hand of God on them and feel that everything is happening for a reason and is moving in their favor, they know exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like I'm floating, like I'm
Yeah.
flying. I just feel really blessed, but more so because of some of the practices that I've currently been doing. So I have been intentionally deepening my relationship as well. Like you're saying, I have been deepening my relationship with God and my walk with him, and understanding him more through prayer, through fasting, through reading the Bible. And if I'm being 100% transparent, I've never understood the Bible. I mean, I've always known God and I've always loved him. And I always know that God knew how to communicate things through me. Like I said in other episodes, through omens, through my intuition. When I meditate, like I just know the downloads I'm getting are from him.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really got to know him and his heart in the way of reading the Bible. And it's come to my heart this week for me to fast and pray and read the Bible. And my friend, Dr. Leslie, love you, girl. She actually put me on to her Bible, and I actually ordered it, and it came the same day. Like this is how you know when God wants you to do something, how fast he moves. I ordered the book at like 6 in the morning because me and her were on the phone, and she told me about her Bible. I ordered it on Amazon, and by 2 p.m. the book came. I have Bible study at 7 p.m.
Wow.
and the book came in that afternoon. So I know that that's God moving his hand and moving mountain for me to get what he needs for me in this season that I'm in. I need him more than ever with everything that's going on in my businesses, in my life. My growth is just everything is happening very exponentially and very fast. So I need to be grounded and I need to be anchored more than ever. So I'm grateful that God is like, get to know me more, deepen your relationship with me more. And I have a great Bible that Dr. Leslie put me on. It actually teaches you the word very, very simple to understand. So it has scriptures on the top, and then at the bottom, it gives you like what it means, what the scripture means. Like if I'm having a conversation with somebody and they're breaking it down to me. So I've been loving it. And that's something that like I've added, since we last spoke. And I've noticed a drastic difference in how I feel. I just I feel more confident. I feel more at peace with everything that's going on, and super blessed. And my businesses are growing and going very well. And I just feel very grateful.
I love that. And I didn't mention this earlier, but that same Bible that Ariana's talking about, she was such a huge blessing in my life, because I told her also that I was in the process of definitely getting back into the word. And she sent me the same Bible. She gifted it to me. She sowed into my life. I mean, it touched me. And she's right. She literally said, "Hey, I just ordered it and it was here by that afternoon." And this thing is a thick boy. Like it's a big boy. It's thick, but it's so helpful. And just even, and we'll talk about this in this episode, just even in this episode alone, reading through the Bible and the connection points with the Bible and what we're talking about in this episode, you will see it is mind blowing. Like a lot of the stuff that we talk about and things we experience today, it's not the first time these type of situations and things have came up, and people have experienced it before. And the Bible is there as a guide for us to help guide us along and understanding how we should conduct ourselves and do certain things. So thank you to you, Ari, for that, sending me that Bible, because honestly, is a tremendous gift, and one that I know I will have for years and years to come.
You're very welcome. We're in this together. You know what I mean? I'm very grateful for Dr. Leslie for putting me on that Bible.
Let's go, Doc.
So very grateful for her, and grateful that you were in a place to wanting to receive the word. And I was like, don't worry, I got you. So I definitely I'm excited for the both of us through this process and how we're evolving, evolution on the mic. So we are literally here evolving, and I'm just grateful to have everybody watch us in our journey of becoming everything that God wants of us, and seeing how God can move in people's lives. And we're just now getting into the word of God. And for me, it's more about the stories. When someone told me about reading the Bible and how to read it, I was like, I'm lost. I don't know where to start. It's a big book. And they just told me for me to start with the stories. So the stories of Job, the story of Jacob, the story of Joseph, the story of Moses. Like all these stories are gonna, I guess is like the easy route to start. So God put in my heart to start with the story of Job. And I've learned so much, and I'm just so grateful. It's so empowering, and I can already see myself through that story in my life and the things that God wants of me and my faith. So anyway, I know we're going off on a tangent, y'all. Sorry. We're just excited about it. It's all relevant to where this podcast is heading, and it's bigger than what me and Antoine could ever imagine. But that's how things go when you have God in your corner. So I'm very grateful. So I'm very grateful. I'm very excited to kick off on episode 4 of season 2. The last 3 episodes that we had in this season, we touched on the belief systems and how you speaking life into existence and how your belief systems affect that. So that's kind of like what we spoke about last time. And it was the 3 episodes. Was the first one, how your beliefs births your behaviors, how your behaviors births how you feel, and how you feel births your reality. So if you guys didn't catch those, I would recommend that you go back and watch them, because those were amazing, and it's going to segue into what we're talking about in the next 3 episodes, which focuses on ourselves and the power of words, and how the power of words plays a role in our lives. Today, we are going to talk about the power of words with others, how words can build or destroy. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. We are then going to be discussing 2 major topics that we find with life and death being in the power of the tongue. 1, how we can use our words to destroy, and two, how we can use our words to build. And these are going to be segued into the next two episodes. Antoine is going to help us today with these teachings. Antoine, I know that this was kind of something on your heart that you had the download to bring to us today. So I'm going to, pass the baton over to you, and I'm very excited to hear more about what God has placed on you for all of us to kind of get benefits from.
Yeah, no, thanks, Aria. So I was spending a lot of time thinking about the conversations we had in our last three episodes, right? And we were talking about, the power of words in terms of speaking life into existence. And it made me think there was another element that we didn't talk about, and that's our conversations with others. I mean, we created this podcast. A lot of what we talked about, it's faith in God, faith in ourselves, and faith in others. So there's this others component that's a big part of our everyday, right? And so for me, as I was thinking about the conversations we were having, it made me start thinking about how I communicate with others on a day to day. Now, for myself, I'm a dad, and I have a 7-year-old daughter who is very vocal. I like to say she's 7 going on 40. But it made me start thinking about, even down to her, the words and how I speak are really important. And the reason for that is because I have the option to either speak things to her that will encourage her, or I could speak things to her that could impact her in either a good way or a bad way. And I think sometimes as parents, we're not always aware of the words and how we speak them, especially when we're stressed, when we're tired, when we're exhausted. It's during those states that we just don't speak in a way that uplifts and builds. And so as I started to kind of think about that, I was like, there is an element in the power of words in which how we speak either has the ability to build or has the ability to destroy. And I wanted to spend some time just kind of getting into that a little bit deeper and using this beautiful Bible that you've given me so graciously to start grounding some of those teachings in it, because this Bible has a lot of things that God has already shared with us, things people have already been through, like you were talking about, the stories that can relate to our lives. And we can learn a lot from just reading in this Bible about how we handle these type of situations when those types of things do come up. So another thing I was thinking about was the types of circles of people we're in, right? So there's the element of my daughter, but then there's also friend groups. And I don't know if you've experienced this, Ari, but I know for myself, I'm very critical of the friend groups that I have with me today, right? Not everyone is considered in my friend group. And a big reason for that is because of the path that I'm going and the path that I'm on. The persons that are in my friend group, the people that are in my friend group, I want people who understand the journey I'm on, who speak in ways in which they're manifesting things. We've talked about manifestation before, and who truly believe they are a child of God. If you don't have those things and those things don't resonate with you in any way, then our friendship is just not going to work, because that's what I believe and that's what I build on. And so that becomes another big part, is when you start thinking about how you communicate with others, it's also reciprocal. How do others communicate with you? What are things that people are saying to you? Are they saying things to you that are building you up? Or are they saying things to you that are tearing you down? And I think we all can relate to a friend or someone that has been a friend for years, and they always have something going on, or they're always angry, or they're always upset, or the littlest thing sets them off. And at some point it gets old. Like, it gets old. I don't know. Like, and Ari, for us, I know when you and I had a conversation, you had told me how you also are very selective about who you allow to be in close proximity of you because of the energy they carry, right? I think that was something you had even shared with me as well. And so as I begin to think about these conversations and things that I've gone through, I took a step back and I said, what are some conversations with people that I've had throughout my life that have either had some major impact on me, and why have those conversations had such a major impact? And when I say major impact, I mean either propelled me forward, like took me to that next level, or held me back. It brought me backwards, because whatever that conversation was with that person, it didn't help me. And so I wanted to ask you, Ari, like, was there anything in your life that you have experienced where someone has said something very profound to you, and from that, it's had some type of impact on you, and what was that experience like?
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind was my sixth grade teacher, Miss Sim. I still remember her to this day. I actually was like, it was like parent teacher day, like the last parent teacher of the year. And she said in front of me, my mother, and my brother that she's shocked that I'm making it to the seventh grade, that I'm gonna make it to junior high school. She was like, I'll be surprised if she even graduates junior high school. The way she's going, I don't see her going far in life.
Wow.
And those words struck me like lightning. They struck my heart like, just just kill me now. And they destroyed me. Those words never left me. Thank God that they don't affect me like they did. But that totally played a role in how I seen myself and how I treated myself and how I valued myself and how where I put my self-worth of where I was going in life based on those words that she said. Like she had the nerve to say that to my mom and in front of me. Like you could have said that behind my back. Like you wanted to hurt me. Like did you do that intentionally? How you
Mm,
viewed me?
mm-hmm.
It made me feel like I was a nobody. Made me feel like, well, like why am I here? Like I wasn't gonna become anyone. And yeah, I guess I started emulating those beliefs for sure in my life.
That is interesting because thinking back to some of our earlier conversations, right? Before you had this awakening, right? You started to make these major shifts. I remember you talking about how before there you did a lot of sleeping, and there were a lot of things that you did that in no way at all reflects the life that you live today. Like it's seriously night and day.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how those words that that person spoke to you way back then may have impacted you for a little bit. But what I love about your story is that it was temporary. It wasn't an impact that
It felt
lasted.
like forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It felt like forever though.
Yeah.
It struck me for a very, very long time. I'm grateful that I, got to the point where I healed
Mm-hmm.
from that. Um, but that definitely it was very destructive
Mm-hmm.
how those words impacted me and the years after that, how I was on a slope downhill. Like I was just in a rabbit hole and I felt like the hole was never going to end. And I just kept going deeper and deeper into this dark hole. And all because of, this lady. And how old are we in the sixth grade? I don't even remember. Was I 11
Yeah, it's
in the
like
sixth
10.
grade?
Yeah,
Like
something like 10,
10?
11, something like that,
Like,
right?
yeah. So,
Wow. I, I can relate to that some in the sense that the one that came to me was when I was younger, I really wanted to be a doctor. That was my
mm,
dream job, dream career was to be a physician, and I wanted to be a pediatrician. And I remember speaking to a family friend, and everyone in my immediate family, my mom, my grandmother, even cousins, they all knew this about me and they all supported
mm.
me. They were always there to say, yeah, you're going to do that. And you're going to be the first doctor in the family.
What
And I
type of
remember
doctor you wanted to be,
a
Antoine?
pediatrician. I want to
Oh,
be
the
a pediatrician.
pediatrician. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, I
what it
want to be a
was.
pediatrician. And I remember I had shared this dream with a family friend. And I remember this person saying to me, how do you expect to be a doctor when you're overweight? Because at the time I was heavy. I've been heavy for a lot of my life, like the majority of my life. And it ripped my heart out my chest because I was young. I was still middle school-ish around this time when this said
Mm.
to me. And so same timeline of like where you were at in like sixth grade. I was still in that
Mhm.
middle school-ish, and someone said this to me and it ripped my heart out. And what it did was it actually introduced doubt into my mind. Like prior to that, I had no doubt that I would be a physician. I had the grades, I was doing the work, I was taking summer programs, I was on the fast track to becoming a physician. But when this person had said this to me, it was like all of a sudden doubt was introduced. And then I started looking at myself a little bit differently. I started to look at my weight as being a hindrance to me getting to where I needed to be. And the one thing I knew about my weight was no matter how much I worked, I walked and played outside with friends and rode bikes and did all the things that a good old country boy would do. I was just a heavy boy. I was always overweight. And so knowing that that could potentially be a block to me getting to the career that I wanted to be, it kept
Wow.
me back. It did. I didn't push myself as much as I wanted to push myself because there was always this doubt in the back of my mind about what if? What if? You know, and on the flip side of that, going back to the conversation I was talking about with like friends, I've also had very beautiful conversations with people. Like there's been people in my life, like I was saying, just with my family, that same example, who were pouring into me, who were like, "Yeah, you're gonna do it. Yeah, you're gonna be the the first doctor in our family. Yeah, you're gonna take care of like our kids." Like that was uplifting. That was inspiring. That was motivating. That made me feel like I had a tribe. And so
Yeah.
just those two alone, just from our stories, we can already kind of see, that words do have power and words do impact the trajectory for our lives in terms of whether it's building us up for that next level or whether it's destroying us in terms of introducing doubt and things of that sorts.
Yeah. And I mean, the great thing, like you were saying, how now we get to choose who, like we get to choose our coach, our mentor, our teacher. We get
Mm.
to choose our friend, our friends and our circles,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now we get to choose the people that we know are gonna lift us up, the people that are gonna empower us, that are gonna support us, that are gonna give us words of encouragement, that are gonna give us good words of affirmation. And that to me has been life changing, life altering, life enhancing, knowing that the people that I keep in my circle, which is very, very, very few. If you are in my circle, it's definitely because we equally add value to each other, because I don't play that. I will be quick to cut somebody off. And the people that are not in my life anymore, you know that. So, and I do that intentionally. Like I love everybody, I forgive everybody. Like I don't hold no grudges to nobody, no matter what they've done to me. I've let all of it go, right? However, I now have a choice,
Mm.
right? I have the choice of who is going to help me elevate to the levels and the levels and the levels that I want to go. And if you're not ready to go to the next level with me, I'm sorry, but I cannot keep having my hand like and picking you up. I can't do that because you're just going to drag me down, right? So it's like, are you leveling up with me? Right? Like, are you on my same page? And vice versa. That's the same thing with other people. If they're going on and doing amazing bigger things and I'm not on their level, I respect that. I'll catch up with you, meet you later, right? Maybe this is not our season, right? Things happen for a reason. And sometimes even with friendships, we don't always stay aligned forever, right? Sometimes it's you don't talk to somebody for like 2 years. And if that wasn't the season, right? Those 2 years, maybe the two of you individuals had things to do in that season, but then you come together like nothing ever happened. You come back together because now you're in alignment to do what the things that you need to do together to grow and build. But if it's not there for me, I keep my circle small, very intentional. It's very intentionally the people that are in my circle, the people that are not, the people I surround myself with, the people that I don't. It's like bad energies. I'm just very, very sensitive to it. And
Mm-hmm.
I rather not. I just rather not. And if I'm the bad energy in the situation, I will remove myself and center myself because sometimes I'm the problem. Right? It goes both ways. And I need to recognize when, girl, you're the problem. Like today, you're not in those good spirits. So get yourself together and get in alignment because you're bringing other people down. So I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but I have discernment to know who is worthy of being in my space, and especially in this time that I'm growing and becoming everything that I've dreamed of. So it's very important to ensure you're picking the people that are going to continue to speak life into you and recognize the people that are speaking death into you and that are demotivating you, that are making you feel less than, that are making you feel crazy for doing the things that you're doing. Those are the people that you do not want to share your dreams to. Those are the people that you don't want to share your next steps, your next moves to. You move in silence. You move in silence. This podcast is making me a little uncomfortable because I'm moving and telling you guys what I'm doing, but I'm doing that for a purpose, right? Because, God is telling me to do it. So I'm like, okay, God, I'm going to listen to you. But for me, I'm scared as fuck to share the things that I'm doing in advance because I'm sharing my inner, most vulnerable, most deepest, my heart thoughts. And I'm like, I don't normally do that. I usually move in silence. And anybody that knows me knows that they don't really know what I'm doing until it's done, until I've arrived, until I'm doing it, until it's, oh, here I am. Nobody really knows what I'm doing. That's just how it's been for me. I stay in a bubble, I stay with my small circle, and I grind. And now I'm doing everything that I'm doing. I'm proclaiming it to the world, and I'm saying the things that I'm doing as I'm doing it. But I just believe that I'm in a level that nobody can take away from me what God is doing for me. I just feel like I'm at a level that I can say everything that I'm doing with no hair on my tongue, with no fears that, oh, you know what I mean? Like their negative juju is going to do something to me. I'm just in a space right now where God is more powerful than anybody's thoughts and anybody's bad juju towards me. And that is a beautiful place to be because I want to empower people. I want to inspire people. And how can I do that if I am not sharing my journey in real time? How are you guys ever going to really see that what I'm saying works? That what I'm saying about God is real? How? If I don't share. So I have to be uncomfortable. I have to get vulnerable and I have to get real and be very transparent, very authentic. So that you guys can get impacted and see how this works and how amazing God is. Because this is what that's what this is all about.
Amen. And what I love most about what you were saying, and I miss that, but we are at a place where we get to choose. Like, I don't know that everyone understands that because I've had people that I've run across in my life where, and it could be friends, family members who know that they have people in their lives that aren't serving them. And I've said to them, you don't have to allow that person to continue to be in your life. And they're like, oh, of course I do. And I was like, well, why do you feel that way? It's like, because they always have been in my life. And so I think the power of choice is another big topic which that you're bringing up that's really important to understand is that we do have the choice to choose. We do have the choice to choose the groups that we're in. We'll also have the choice to choose the words that we use as it relates to others, as well as the words that we use for ourselves. Is that kind of brings me into the next point, which is, why is it important for us to be aware of the power of the words we use with others? Because sometimes we're just not aware of the things we say and the things we do. And we've already kind of touched on the first one just being because we have the ability to either destroy life, birth life in the words that we use. And it's important for us to know when to build. And there are times where I believe there are ways in which we should probably destroy if there are certain situations where that may arise. And we won't get into that in this podcast, but I think that's something we can explore at a later date. Another important aspect of why we want to be aware of the power of words we use with others is because the words you are speaking to others could be blocking you from your breakthrough and vice versa. And I want to let that sit a little bit. The words you are speaking to others could be blocking you from your breakthrough and vice versa. We talked in the episode that we had Andrea on, and she was talking about how she had this relationship, this tension with her mom because her mom kicked her out when she was 16 with a baby. And it wasn't until she got older that after her mom had died that she had let go and she had forgiven her mom. And through that forgiveness process, I remember her saying how there was like this release, and then she just felt like all the blessings started flowing. The floodgates opened because there was this blockage. I think the same thing happens with all of us at times. I think that there are things that we're either speaking into others, speaking over ourselves, or things that we're using in terms of word sense that is blocking us from where we need to be and where God wants us to be. And it's very important for us to be aware of that. Because think about it. Let's say, just going out on a limb here, let's say Ariana is the person that is going to sow into my business. Let's just say that she's the person that's going to sow into my business. But I'm speaking negatively because Ariana's a workhorse and she does what she moves. She moves quick. She don't let no grass grow under her feet. She be moving, she be shaking and getting things done. But I'm in a mentorship with Ariana and I'm looking at her from a distance with jealousy, or I'm speaking things into her that are not good. It's not uplifting. It's not building her up. And God senses that. He knows that. And God's like, little do you know that that is the doorway. That's the doorway that I want to open for you. But because of the words you're using, the words that you're spewing towards her, and those that unspoken words that you're spewing towards her, that doorway is not opening. Mm. It's powerful stuff. It's powerful to think about. It's true. It's true. And then the last one, and this one resonates so true to our podcast, right? Like the podcast was created because we wanted to unite great minds and the leaders of the future. And when we say leaders, we're not just talking about leaders from a standpoint of it just being one person or like a certain group of people. To us, in my belief system, is that we all have leadership within us. We may not be tapping into it. It may not be our season. There may be things we need to work on before we get there, but that leadership ability to lead is all within us. Why? Because we're leading our lives on a daily basis. If anything, you're leading yourself. The decisions you're making for yourself is leading. And so if we think about it from leaders, leaders have to use their words with others to make things move. Think about that. If I'm a leader, and it can be in a business, it can be over anything. If I'm a leader, that means that I am responsible for getting people to do something or getting things to move from one place to another. Or it could be I'm a leader of myself and I have to get myself to move from one place or another. Either way, the words that you say, the words that you use, there's power. So either you can talk in a way that gets things done, or you can talk in a way that destroys things, breaks teams apart, gets people bickering and arguing with each other, stops you from getting to your next level because the words you're using aren't motivating you enough or pushing you enough to get to that next level. All of these are reasons why we should be aware of the power of words, because they all have an impact in some way, shape, or form in our life.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And the analogy of like how leaders helps people do certain things, like it helps them move towards a vision and a mission. Like I love that because I can totally see that in my life, the leaders in my life, right? My first supervisor out of college, like my first real job, I worked at a hospital, Brookdale Hospital in Brooklyn. And that was my first real job. Like I had to wear like a suit and all of that, to go to work. I had to like look professional. And I remember this leader always spoke life to me. Mind you, I had no idea what I was doing. I barely know how to use a computer and how to process, documents and all of that in a computer. And I was lost. And I didn't know how to deal with patients. I was dealing with patients. I didn't know. And she guided me through it all. She spoke life into me, like telling me the things that like I was capable of doing, how she's seen me. And she helped me propel in that position. She would tell me, you're so great. You're a rock star. She was like, you know more, you do better than people with a master's degree in social work. And I only had a bachelor's degree in social work at that point. And she was like, you're so awesome. Like, like, and people with master's degree that work here, you're better than them. I'm telling you, she made me believe that I was such a great, amazing worker that I started to believe with myself. Right. And she definitely helped. Her leadership abilities to speak life to me, to help me become a great worker in that job, helped me become a great leader with other people, because with my teams, with people that work under me, I do the same thing with them. I just speak life into them, into what they're doing. I just try to build them, helping them see that they can do this. Like, this is easy work. Like, this ain't rocket science. And that's one of the things I love saying when I'm training somebody. Nothing that we do is rocket science. This is simple. It's just going to be a lot of work. You're going to need to dedicate your time to learning this, but it is easy work, right? So I say that to people and they start believing that it's easy. They start believing that they're capable and they start moving in that way and they become amazing. Right? A lot of the people that work under me can totally see themselves leading other people. They can see themselves supervising and managing and even becoming a boss and owning their own place. Because why? Those the words that I use. even if in the back of my mind I'm like, this person is a little scary, they're a little slow right there. Even if in my I don't show them that, I don't speak that. I believe that they could do it. And what just might be believing and really like making them feel that, once they feel it is over, they shift. They start working harder, they start studying more, they start doing more of the things that they need to do to propel them to the next level. And I love that because it started with a leader, my first supervisor. She modeled that way for me. And as we always say, great leaders model the way, right? And she modeled the way of how to be with new employees or just employees in general. And she built me up, and I'm so grateful. Her name is Vicky Alcock. She passed away a few years ago, but she was my biggest blessing in my life, starting a new job. And I always say that my leadership abilities and who I am, even though some people might say I've always had them innately, she helped me grow them and blossom it into who I am today, because I give her all the props for it.
Let's go. Shout out to Vicky. And I love that
Yeah.
story because you're absolutely right. There's a trickle down effect. There's
Mm-hmm.
power in the words that we give, but then as you're sowing into someone else in however way that can be negative or it could be positive, whatever you're doing, it's a trickle down effect. Or as they would call it, like the go home and kick the dog kind of scenario. I'm at work, the leader that I'm reporting to is speaking negativity into my life. I leave work, I'm upset, pissed off. I go home. What's the first thing I do? I take it out on my family. If I'm not someone that has
Yeah.
control over my life and control over my emotions and things, and it's been a long day and I'm vibrating at a very low level, when I go home, I'm transferring that to my family. Back to the whole scenario about me with my daughter. Like if I came home and I just transferred that to her, what does that mean for her? Because it's a trickle down effect. Then she's going to embody that. She's going to internalize that. And as she grows up, what happens? She starts to replicate those same things. But look at what came from your boss pouring into you and how many people, her pouring that into your bucket, how many other people that's been poured into just from your leadership alone.
Yep.
It's beautiful. And, you know, when I think about all of this in terms of the words we speak and what we know about it, for me, a lot of my beginning started with my grandmother and my mom. They were both, you know, very big into the church, but I remember growing up, a lot of the things they would talk about is they always talked about the words, and that being such a big thing in our family, the words we use and how we use our words. And my grandmother, mom would always refer to the tongue as being a sword. As a kid, I had no clue what that meant. I was like, Grandma, what are you talking about? My tongue being a sword? That makes no sense to me. But as I've been spending some time as I got older and some of the teachings and stuff I received just from church groups I was a part of and different groups of people that I was a part of, it started to make sense to me that was just an analogy, right? Our tongue being a sword, meaning that our tongue could cause death. A sword can cause death. Our tongue could cause death.
Mm.
And so when I was thinking about this for this episode, I went to this beautiful Bible that Ariana had so blessed me with. And I started just kind of looking around in the Bible and wanted to understand what the Bible says about the tongue and the power of the tongue. And so, fun fact for some of you folks out there who like fun facts, the tongue is mentioned in over 120 passages in the Bible. And so it's mostly used in a way for caution and talking about how to use it in a wisely way. And one of the books that in the Bible that I found a lot of the conversation about the tongue is actually in Proverbs.
Mm.
And so in Proverbs 18:21, it says, the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. And so this symbolizes everything we've been talking about right from the beginning, right? So the words, the tongue, is what we use to speak words. So when I'm talking, I'm using my tongue. So the tongue is really analogous to the words we use. And so the words we use either has power of life or the words we use has power of death. One of the two. One of those two. It's no in between. There is no gray area. Either you're speaking life or you're speaking death. So I started digging a little further, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, when I hear the word life and death, to me, that's very synonymous with building, or AKA growing, or destroying. So if we plug that back into that same verse, the words we speak has the ability to either build or destroy. Proverbs 12:18 says, thoughtless words cut like a sword, but the tongue of wise people brings healing. Mm. Same thought and concept, right? So thoughtless words, when I think of thoughtless words, what comes to mind is I'm not thinking. I'm just reacting. It's emotional. It's erratic. I'm not using my brain. I'm just reacting immediately. So if I'm reacting in a way in which it's irrational, it's thoughtless, the words cut like a sword, which means it brings pain. It could potentially bring death. It could potentially bring destruction in the way that I'm using those words because I'm not thinking. I'm not having emotional control. I'm just reacting.
I feel like that's a word for me because like, honestly, a lot of the times when I'm going to speak to somebody, it tends to be like, I'm just speaking what's on my mind. I'm big on, I just speak how I feel. And sometimes it's like, it is thoughtless. It's just like, blah, 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 this is what I feel. And it's like, ooh, I just chopped you up and murdered you up. Like there's blood all over the place. Like I damn near killed you with my words. Right? Like, especially if I'm in my feelings, you know, I probably didn't meditate that morning. But no, that word right there, like honestly, you know, but the wise people, when they speak, they bring healing. They're intentional with their words. They take the time to process what they want to say because they know that their tongue has the power to hurt your feelings and to hurt people and to offend people and to bring somebody down. Like you could have been in a very good day and there I come and I'm just gonna bring your whole day to the ground just because I was talking thoughtlessly and expressing myself out of emotion. So that definitely spoke to me. I don't know if it spoke to anybody else out there that talks that expresses themselves thoughtlessly, but let's work on that, everybody. It's starting with me because my tongue is a sword and I want to use it for a sword to protect, to defend, to bring healing, not to murder and bring people down. I don't want to do that, but I know that I have the abilities. I have seen it, you know, in my life with the way I can sometimes speak to people. And now I'm like, oh, okay, because I'm not speaking like the wise. I am not speaking to be like, let me bring healing to this conversation of what I want to say. I'm speaking out of emotion. Love the Bible.
Yeah. And I mean, on that same note, I mean, and we'll talk about this more in the next few episodes as we get deeper into talking about the destruction portion and the building portion of the words. But there are things that trigger that. And the thoughtlessness is emotional in how it responds, but there's a reason why. And that's the part that we want to go a little bit deeper on these next episodes is understanding, well, why am I reacting in a thoughtless way? Like what's causing that? Because again, like you said, we want to get better at this. This episode, this podcast is all about evolution. We're not trying to be static. We're not staying in one place. We're looking to grow. We're looking to learn and grow. That's what we're here. This is a place in which we learn together and we grow because we will be the leaders of the future. We are great minds and we're sharing what we're learning as we go through this together. And so we'll get into that. But it's so funny when you say that in Proverbs 13:3, what they go on to say is that those who control their tongue will have a long life. Opening your mouth can ruin everything. Managing what you say requires self-control. Learning to control these this small but powerful member of the body is a good chance you can control the rest of your body, is kind of how they broke that scripture down. So when you think about it, the tongue is small. Like it in terms of relativeness to the entire body, it's a small portion of the body, but it yields so much power. And what God is challenging us to do as he talks in these proverbs is that learning that self-control is important. Knowing when you will lash out and say something that might be for destruction, there may be a place where that is needed. There may be. I can't think of any right now, but there may be. But it's a part of understanding when to use those things and when not to is a big part of your growth and development in becoming the person that we are desiring to be, which is even more like God each and every day. And that's the whole purpose of this. And so they had this other section that I wanted to share. And again, this Bible that Ariana has shared with me and purchased for me is so awesome because they take each thing, as you were saying before, and they break it down into even more sections. So like you can actually really get deep in understanding it. And as someone that's just getting back into the word, I need that additional help. I need that extra kind of insight and information that maybe I'm not picking up. And so one of the things they talked about, and I pulled this out because I think it's really important to our conversation, is that they say that there's 4 common speech patterns. So there's 4 ways in which we talk, and all of this is in reference to our use of this tongue. 2 of these we want to move closer to, and 2 of them we want to move further away. So the first 2 are ones that we want to move closer to. The first one is called the controlled tongue. And so what this is this is a speech pattern that typically thinks before you speak. I don't know how many people out there can react to that or relate to that, of speaking or thinking before you speak, and then knowing when silence is best and to give wise advice. So oftentimes this may be someone who is not always quick to respond to something of how they feel. They may take some time to really process. And so that's what they call a controlled tongue. The caring tongue is a speech pattern in which we speak truthfully while seeking to encourage. So you come from a place of truth, you maybe come from a place of heart, and what you're saying is meant to uplift. Your meaning and the words you say behind them are intentional, as Ariana was saying before. They're intentional in continuing to build and help someone grow and help someone level up and help someone get to that next level. Those are some of the people that I think, Ariana, you were talking about that you want in your life. Someone who's speaking with a caring tongue. Now, on the flip side, there's 2 other ones. The conniving tongue, which this speech pattern is filled with the wrong motives. So what comes with the conniving tongue is gossip, slander. There's things that are said that are twisted around. They twist around the truth. This is what they call the conniving tongue. And I think some of us could probably relate or even know some people in our lives, even ourselves, oftentimes, who might have used that in a way to either get what we want or to move things along. And then the last one, which we want to move further away from, is the careless tongue. And then with this speech pattern, the way they described it is it's filled with lies, curses, and quick-tempered words, which can lead to rebellion. And they say this, destruction, can lead to rebellion and destruction. And so those 4 different types really help to cement this topic for me, because I started to think, well, the ones that I want to move closer to are the caring tongue, which is someone that speaks from truth and they're looking for encouragement. They're speaking with truth and encouragement. That is the place where I want to live all the time. Like I want to always be living from a place where if someone comes at me and they're spewing negativity, instead of me reacting in a way in which I'm trying to get back at them, instead I take what they've said and I send something back to them that's truthful in nature, but it's encouraging. It's building, it's lifting up. It's not causing me to try to tear them down because they've torn me down. We get nowhere with that. And then the controlled tongue is just helpful in terms of being introspective. Sometimes taking that moment to pause when someone has said something or done something the way that you don't like, taking that moment to pause and breathe and allow yourself to feel the rage that's probably going on inside of you, and then slowly allowing that rage to dissipate, and then allow that rage to be replaced by the beauty of God and his love. That's, to me, the next level, like being able to come from that place and then speak that truth and evolution. So I wanted to hear from you, Ariana, about what you thought about some of these. This came directly from this amazing Bible that we both are reading through.
Yeah.
But, you know, what did you think about
No, like I was saying, I mean, I'm very grateful that you put these into this very well concise format, because I can see myself in all of them, you know. Like I said, I have a habit of speaking on my emotion and thoughtlessly, right? I don't stop and think sometimes, and I want to come from a place of caring. I do. And sometimes when I say things to people, I don't mean to hurt their feelings, but they feel hurt. And I'm like, they're like, yeah, you could have said that a little nicer. Or when you said that, it was kind of like you were being a bitch, and you're being rude, and like you don't really care. And I'm like, sometimes, most of the time, I'm shocked. Like I came out rude, I came out offensive, I'm like, I didn't really mean to. I
Mhm.
really meant to tell you something because I'm never going to hold back myself from telling you something that's going to better you, or something that I think you could have done differently. Or if I see you slacking, I am going to say, hey, no, we're not doing that. Because I'm always looking to lift people up from wherever they're at. And I always want people to become better. I just don't have the good words to use because I'm just speaking what's on my mind. Like, get it together.
Mhm.
Stop doing that. They don't like this. You made me feel like this. What's up with you? So I can totally see myself. So I'm gonna just use me as, an example here, that in each one of this, like, I want to pull myself away from all of them. You know what I mean? I want to learn how to control my tongue. I want to come from a place of care with my tongue. I don't want to be conniving or using my tongue to gossip and to slander and to bring people down, right? And I don't want to be quick-tempered. I want to be like, let me take a 10-minute break, and I'm gonna come back when I'm in a right state of mind, because right now I'm not, and you're about to get my raft. I just always want to give my raft and then ask for forgiveness right after, because it's like, girl, what the hell you did? So I love this. This is something that I'm definitely going to sit with, ponder on with myself, because we are here to grow. I am not
Mhm.
ashamed to say my weaknesses and the things that I'm still struggling with. But I'm very grateful that God put this in your heart, because I genuinely feel like this was for me. And I am not going to be ashamed to admit that it's kind of like, okay, God is like, yeah, we need to work on this. And now you have this amazing scriptures and teachings, and it's very well broken down, where it's hitting home. It's
Yeah.
hitting home. I felt like I could never control myself, and now it's like I have the choice, right? Like,
Mhm.
like we're saying, like, the power of words that we speak to others can build or destroy, but we have the choice.
Mhm.
So I thank you so much, Antoine, for bringing this to us today, bringing this to me today. I'm sure a lot of people that are watching are also now going to have a time for themselves to self-reflect and ponder on these things. And I'm excited, to see where this takes me, where this takes you and everybody that's watching with these principles and these teachings, because they're so real and they hit home 100%. So I'm so excited for our next episode, where we're gonna focus on how our words have the power to destroy. Okay, we're going to explore why we feel the need to use our words to destroy, and the actions that you can take to pause the destruction. So I am so excited for that teaching that Antoine is going to bring to all of us next week. So I hope you guys tune in. And as usual, if you have any thoughts, comments, or anything that you would like to share with us, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. And with that, thank you for tuning in. And until the next episode, always remember that having faith in God, having faith in yourself, and having faith in others will create the evolution that you are seeking. Thank you.